There are good reasons to appeal to your insurance. This is part 2. Welcome. I am your medical bill whisperer. A previous billing manager turned patient advocate, I am committed to empowering patients like you with answers, insights, and solutions. So that appeal, also called a grievance, let's remember it is your right and that of your provider to request a reconsideration of a negative decision that has impacted access to care or treatment or financially by rejecting payments of services. Your appeal rights are listed under the terms of your policy as well as on every explanation of benefit your insurance sends you. In part 1, we explored eligibility reasons to file for appeals. Today, let's go over coverage and benefits. One good reason you may need to file an appeal is for a denial for not a covered benefit. This means the procedure, the treatment, the prescription, the medical service is not payable under the terms of your policy, either because it is not listed as a benefit or specifically excluded. What is the exact reason? It will be written on your explanation of benefit. You will need that to determine the best course of action and how to successfully frame your appeal. Some reasons could be a new treatment is not on the list, or your diagnosis does not support the need for the service or level of care, or a brand name prescription is not available as generic options are. Each specific reason should be met with a specific counter-argument. You tried generic brands, they did not work, or you were allergic, or even were counter-indicated with other ones you take. Medical records do indicate the need for the level of care prescribed. The treatment or course of medical action meets standard of care. For more on that, do watch my special video. But basically, standard of care means any other physician looking at your medical circumstances would issue the same prescription or the same course of action. Now, you could also show that the limit on a policy, for example, too few ABA therapy sessions for your autistic child, or too few occupational or speech therapy after your stroke or broken leg, do impact negatively your chances of recovery, improvements, or even maintenance of your physical conditions or mental health. If a policy covers less than what's considered accepted common course of action, it does not meet standard of care. And to prove that a medical policy is obsolete, you can use data for recent FDA approval, literature found in medical journals, or even articles or documentation published by government health agencies. Google will help you in such endeavors. If you're appealing something that was rejected as not medically necessary, you'll need to prove that the service is indeed appropriate for your diagnosis or condition, that other treatments were not available or had failed, and that it is clinically justified. My first question, though, would go to the office. Are the codes used for the procedure, the prescription, or the course of treatment correct and matching? Too often, a simple clerical error can be corrected without the need for an appeal. Do try and get a second opinion if possible. 2 doctors prescribing the same course of medical action, of course, better than one. Sure, the medical records really indicate and document any urgency and severity. You might be able to even file the appeal as expedited. In most cases, a response would be returned within 72 hours instead of a usual 30 to 60 days. The medical records should also Document any other lines of therapy that have been previously tried and failed, as well as document, explain, detail why more aggressive action may be needed now. A doctor's letter of medical necessity from the ordering as well as any other consulting physician supporting the need for specific treatment or prescription should be included. If your appeal is for something that was not authorized, let's consider first, if after the fact. Usually this means emergency conditions had applied. In such cases, terms of policy, as well as federal and some state laws, would apply and protect you. Emergency conditions do not require pre-authorization. Special circumstances might also force your insurance to cover something denied as not authorized. For example, if services had to be rendered during a holiday, at night or a weekend when your regular physician was not available, or at times when your insurance did not have staff available to answer the phone to take that pre-authorization request. If you visited or live in a remote location where no other medical care was available, that is an excellent reason to file an appeal. Now, if your denial came before the facts, your appeal should again list the exact counter-arguments to the reasons given for your denial. For example, again, not a medical benefit or not medically necessary. Remember, evidence is key. If appealing a denial for experimental or investigational, meaning not FDA approved, not listed on your medical policy, or not listed on your formulary, do make sure to find out if the medical policy used is actually up to date. Find out if other insurance companies cover the service for your diagnosis, and especially Medicare. Why? Because then it would be considered as standard of care. Your doctor should also document that the treatment he has or she has ordered is effective and safe for your condition. If an out-of-area appeal needs to be filed, meaning out-of-state services that were not emergencies are not part of your benefit, or you went out of your strict EPO network or HMO's medical group, document if emergency conditions occurred, or that you could not find an experienced specialist with the same training or expertise within your network. Or file an appeal based on the fact that prompt access to care, one of patients' rights, could not be met by in-network or even in-state providers. Of course, lack of immediate or nearby medical providers when in a rural area are well known. As for some tips, if your first level appeal has rejected, do file a second degree appeal. Just make sure you have more evidence, better medical records, more letters from physicians, more documentation and supporting evidence. Now, I must mention in some cases your insurance might be right. Any appeal have very little chance of success. For example, if the level of care is considered custodial rather than medical, or if a specific exclusion applies, for example, coverage for abortion or birth control, or if your treatment truly is experimental, I would try negotiating a self-pay cash fee ahead of time or even after the fact with the medical providers. With hospitals, I would apply for financial assistance. Any discount granted to me would usually be honored by doctors who also rendered services then. But if you are one of the 50% or so of Americans with a self-insured ERISA plan, you may have another option. Such plans mean that your employer pays your claims and decides on the benefits and coverage. Your insurance only acts as an administrator. In such case, reach out to your HR department or upper management and ask them for an extension of a policy for all employees or an exception to you. bring that appeal not to your insurance, directly to the person or people at your company that have the authority to change the terms of a policy and order the insurance company to override an initial denial or rejections by the insurance that never had the authority to override the terms of that policy. I do have other videos you might find interesting, exploring more of the terms and topics that we discussed today. And I so thank you for watching in general. You help support and grow this channel with your likes, your comments, and your subscribes. So thank you.